Hello and welcome to the Ballin After. We are finally back. I would say long awaited, but I don't know if anyone's actually been waiting on this, but certainly long delayed return of BIE's attempt at a regular video show on YouTube that isn't just player interviews and stuff like that. And this week, naturally, or this episode, because I'm not promising weekly yet, dear goodness me, it's all about obviously the last weekend in Ireland. Big custody final weekend we had down in Cork, first in Neptune on Friday, where Brunell, after losing in 2017, losing in 2018, they won at the semi-final stage in 2019 against their city rivals, Father Matthews, beating, of course, one of their great tormentors, Grania Dwyer, in the process. Dwyer has won 4 of the last 6 cups, been to the last 6 finals with Glanmire. Father Matthews this year alongside his sister Neve. They look good in parts, but for the most part, it was pretty dominant from Brunel. Like, they had a couple of comebacks to deal with, and yeah, that was interesting. But that's going to wait a second because we've got a bigger thing we want to get to first, which is bigger than the games. And it's a big part of the Irish basketball community. And that is, there is a baller in need. And that's Michelle Fahy. Her lovely partner, Claire, is in need of your support. And we have a link below here in the description, whatever. You can go GoFundMe. She's got cancer and raising funds to help her out with that. They've got a young family. So, of course, basketball community, do what you can. The support so far has been tremendous. And, of course, BIE throwing its oar in as well. We're obviously going to support it. And we're asking you, the viewers of the Ballin After, to support it as well. And yeah, that's the one serious bit. Back to the fun stuff. And we'll get back to the actual games in a second. Because there's one thing I really got to bring up, which was now the NICC, which for our European and American viewers, basically our non-Irish people, or at least non-followers of Irish basketball, there's a tournament. It's the level 3 in Ireland. Great. You see all these clubs from all over the country taking part. Like, it's far broader mix you generally see of clubs than at the Super League level, obviously, which would naturally tend towards more large urban centres, yada yada yada. And so we had a pretty cool one though on a Saturday afternoon. So knew one of the teams beforehand. I did a piece on them last year, Leagues of Zalgiris. Fascinating side. They're mostly, of course, Neptunus fans. They're all from Prienai. And they were going in looking to get back to the final, and they were up against the Drogheda Bullets. And the reason this game stood out to me, because normally level 3 in any country, I'm not going to talk much about, and especially as the more interesting story is the team that lost, or at least I thought more interesting story, probably still is, to be honest. But no, it's that they were playing the Drogheda Bullets, and Drogheda's uniforms, and we're going to link to what I'm referring to as well in the description, really, really reminded me of the No Limit Soldiers, which for those of you who don't get it, trust me, you want to just click on that link in the description. It will explain a lot to you, but like, we're talking black, grey, and white camo, very gangster, very WCW, late 90s stuff, all inspired by Master P, the rapper, that style. So, Drogheda Bullets, repping Master P, and bringing it into the level 3 final, the NICC Cup final. But onto the bigger ones, the semi-finals for both the men and the women in the Super League level. And like I said, Brunel, huge win for them on Friday night in front of their home fans largely. Packed Neptune Arena. We had pretty much packed throughout, which was the real surprise to me. Not that it was packed throughout, but that there was no real feeling at any point during the sessions that, oh, there's been a bit of a loss of bodies here. Which you get like sort of some games that you're going to draw less, but a lot of people wanted to get like the value for their ticket basically. And so that was pretty cool. Like, it led to some interesting atmospheres because like Liffey Celtics and DCU Mercy, which was the second women's semi, it was the middle game on Saturday in the Mardyke. Well, 2 things went against it. One, the game was over as a contest really fast. And 2, the bulk of the people who were in the stands were not there for that game. And I think had it been a close game, those folks would have gotten right into it, to be honest. Like, the Irish basketball crowds, they're pretty good for that. But yet a game where basically, after the third quarter, both teams were just focusing on not getting anybody any extra hurt than they were. But in that game, Allie, LeClaire, phenomenal performance. She spent 4 years with Green Bay. Had a chance to talk with her briefly after the game. And like, she's been to the big dance 4 times. She was Horizon League Tournament Player of the Year, second team All Horizon League. Like, she's played in some big games. A nice little touch was that her head coach in Green Bay, a couple of hours after she got to the Irish Cup final, Coach Borseth, he got his 700th ever career win. So that was a nice little bit for the narrative and all that stuff. Back to Brunel, though, the Cork Derby, because they will be underdogs in the final. Like, Liffey Celtics, look, way good. Not just LeClaire, but wow, they look good. And like you gotta love Trisha Burns. Basically, I will mess you up if you mess with me type attitude as a point guard. Very sort of nose down, get the job done, both D and O. So really impressed with her. On whole, it was a very good team performance from Brunell, especially as they had a couple of comebacks they had to deal with from Father Matthews because there was some pretty ugly shooting from Father Matthews for large stints of that game. But obviously Chantal Alford, great night for her despite the loss. But you kind of look at it and you kind of go, Jesus, like Matthews nearly did enough to win this game, like multiple occasions, despite really struggling for the most part. They will not have been happy with that performance. So yeah, that was interesting. Brunel, though, getting over that hump because the way they lost, not so much last year, which was just a good old-fashioned bruiser where they were outground by Glanmire, the previous year where they got off to this crazy hot start. And then Grania Dwyer happened, and the hot start was evaporated by the half, and by the end of the third, it was over as a contest. The fourth was just continuing to slaughter. It was a very weird night for basketball, that one. But onto the men's, and the first game was Belfast Star against UCD Marion. That was the early game Saturday. By early, I mean 2 o'clock. Anybody who follows this site, knows well that I'm not an early riser, famously. But it's like, hey, I lie in well. That's all I can say. But yeah, UCD Marion coming in like they've been really up and down the league this year. They're only 2 wins out of top of the table. Well, they're 2 losses, sorry, out of top of the table because they're a game less. So it's 3 wins, I think. But yeah, you kind of look at it and you go, they've gotten some results against teams who are riding above them. They've had some pretty bad results against teams below them. So, on their day, they're going to be a nasty little operation. But great brilliance from Yanis Lapaikas, obviously, on the coaching side. For those who are not familiar, Lapaikas got a technical call on him late in the final last year, which effectively proved decisive in terms of the overall result. Below were ahead at the time, but it essentially killed off any hope you said he had of pulling him back into that one. And so for Marion to go out against a great Belfast Star side, really loaded with shooters. They went after CJ Fulton from the start, 16-year-old wunderkind, son of Adrian, of course. And yeah, they just didn't let him get a shot off until 4:40 left in the third. And this is like one of the most potent shooters in Irish basketball, even at his current age. So that was really impressive that he didn't get a shot off until that long, 25 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. So that was very impressive. Overall, defensively, they were very strong. They played the first 3 minutes a little fast for their liking. And then, though, they just went to work. And Belfast really never looked like they were going to be able to get back in it on their own terms, so they had to find a way to adjust. And you saw a lot of real sort of dialing around by Fulton. I did actually like his efforts to change it up, mixing the all big, all small, the up and down type look. But just none of them were enough, essentially, in the end. So that was, the way that one went. That was probably, and I'm mainly because of the scoreline and also because of the narrative, in terms of sort of how the game played out, because it was, clear from a very early stage that it was going to have to require a huge comeback by Belfast. That was the less interesting semi-final, obviously, for UCD viewers. Take that as a chip on your shoulder or some stuff, I don't know. But Colester in the second semi-final, dream first quarter. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. 29-13 after 10 minutes, led by Kieran Rowe. It's like Mary from Basketball Ireland. There's no show like a Rowe show, which is a very, not Irish reference, a very Westmeath reference. But yeah, Rowe obviously was phenomenal in that game. 34 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And, most importantly, it was, he knew when he needed to dial it up going into the paint, because there were times where we were trying to make them sort of, stay out of the perimeter, stay on the perimeter. They felt like they were locking the paint down. They were, reducing the interior game of the bigs. That's when you'd see Rowe go in and go for his floater, Navarro style. His timing was really good in order to not let Tralee ever build up too much momentum in their comebacks. It was very much Tralee were stuck with a 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach to comebacks, largely because of Rowe, to be honest. Obviously Tralee made a game of it. Going into the fourth, it was manageable for sure. Midway through the fourth, it was very manageable, and they got it down to nearly 1 possession. They never got closer than 4 points, I think. But when it got to that stage, you're kind of going, Colester needs something. So yeah, Rowe happened again. So there were the bizarre thing with this Colester side is, and I mean this in a serious compliment to them, Paddy Sullivan's a brilliant shooter, and is a legitimate chance, maybe the 7th or 8th best shooter on this side, which is crazy to even think about, because Paddy's a good shooter. He's a very good shooter. And so when you're kind of going if that's your 7th or 8th best shooter, whoa, you ain't bad. You ain't bad at all. So that's the great thing with the men's final, is that I think we're going to see a lot of offense. The classic problem with Irish basketball is the arena. And I don't mean the place itself, but that every baller will tell you ad nauseum that the rims are too tight or some other BS like that. It's nerves, if it is anything in the cup final. But also, I don't even think it's that. It's just that performance varies game to game, and in a single game situation, yada yada, boring science, explaining small samples. But like UCD and Colester played there last year, both were in the 70s, finishing in the league deciding playoff in what was a massive game for them. So in front of, in a game that could have been bigger for both sides, in this place where allegedly shooting is tougher, they both put up very reasonable totals. I don't see that being an issue in the final in January. I'm not saying it's going to be a offensive feast, but it definitely has a chance. It definitely has a real chance because you look at these sides and you go, there's a lot of shooting talent. Leicester, I will say, have more of it, that's for sure. So that's why I'm thinking Giannis is probably going to have to dial down the pace a little bit with this one. Very similar to the Belfast game. Obviously not the exact same strategy, but same mindset to the approach, you would think. But yeah, no, that promises to be a great one. The women's final, I think there'll be a bigger crowd of the women's. I'm not saying the men's won't be a big crowd. I'm just thinking if the men's may not sell out, the women's will, I think, because I think between Liffey and Brunell, each of them will bring massive crowds because they're both regional teams. And yeah, that one, I'd like to see Brunel give it a good go. I'd be worried to be out of hand by the half. I do think Brunel are better than the DCU side. I saw Liffey Celtics beat, that's for sure. But I also felt Liffey had a way more in the tank than they had, and they won very comfortably against DCU Mercy. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure. That'll be the second game. That'll be the Sunday. Sorry, that's the two big games. But yeah, that's largely it from the Ballin After. We are going to hopefully be back a little more regularly. I'm not promising how often yet because those of you who don't know, I work for the Sunday Business Post, and we've had a whole lot of changes the last few months. Well, I've had three bosses, two offices, and what else is it? Oh yeah, two owners of my company since September. So I'm going grayer. Well, if I could go grayer. But yeah, so that's it from the Ball and After. Hope you enjoyed our comeback. We're hoping to add like graphics and shit at some point. But for the time being, somewhere around here is a subscribe button. So please click that. It helps. And of course, visit ballineurope.com. We've got recaps of all the games. Links to that below. We got a lot of links below today, 6 I think in total. So click on all those, and obviously we're on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us there, you know the drill. And until next time, I'll keep being Emmett Ryan.